by some coincidence, a middle-aged aide close to Xi found me after reading 2 episodes of my books The Irrelevancy of China. It was the first time we had met, but after talking for 6 hours, he revealed something, but asked me not to reveal it for the time being. In brief, here's the thing: Xi took office, eager to explore new ways and concepts of governance. So gathered a group of fresh-minded, including returnees young intellectuals, to brainstorm. At one of the meetings, the young man asked him what he wanted them to do. According to the personage's description, Xi indirectly expressed a view, that is, the original intention of the political opening and transformation in the Soviet Union was correct, but it was too hasty, the leadership was discontinuous, and it went through the incoherent toss and turns of Gorbachev, Yeltsin, and Putin, as a result of today's chaos in Russia. Mr. Xi thinks Russia would be much better off today if the Soviet Union could have a leader with 20 years of consistent policies and a complete theoretical system of governance. In other words, Xi-Jin-Ping, new to the top, realizes that, in China's realistic conditions, if he refused to become a senatorial puppet and wanted to leave a real historical position, under the struggle structure and historical context of the Chinese Communist Party, he had only one way to go, that is, breaking the rules and being in power for 20 consecutive years. According to the person, the young group of aides immediately began to work on a complete set of groundbreaking China discourses. But after a period of time, they perceived a big problem. That is, other historical issues, the experience of the Soviet Union, and world problems can all be logically discussed. Only a piece of missing angle. That is, the historical orientation of the Taiwan experience. The young staff believes that the phenomenon of democracy in Taiwan cannot be erased in one stroke, nor can it be denied, nor can it be fully affirmed. So, how should we understand, evaluate, position, and relegate the democratic experience of Taiwan in thus theoretical system? This person said that after reading my book The Irrelevancy of China, he felt that the exposition therein seemed to fill that gap, and came to ask for advice. Another meaningful message is that Xi intended to promote the semi-democratic form of the Hong Kong's experience to the mainland of China between the 19th and 20th National Congresses after the 2017 Hong Kong chief executive election. However, an Occupy incident has completely eliminated this possibility. According to his imply, the handling of the Occupy incident did not conform to Xi's own intention, but was dominated by other forces. This message clearly shows that despite hitting the big tiger in 2014, Xi still not established absolute authority, and the tigers are still looking around. This judgment is not groundless. In mid-September 2014, during Xi Jinping's official visit to Indian Prime Minister Modi's, 1,000 People's Liberation Army troops crossed into Indian territory to provoke. Modi asked Xi Jinping to order a withdrawal on the spot, and Xi also agreed. But the People's Liberation Army not withdrew until the 3rd day after Xi returned to China. This clearly showed that Xi could not command the army at the time. Of course, this was also the background of later Xi's fighting the tigers, as well as the transformation of the country's military areas into war zones, the reorganization of military command system, large-scale mobilization and removal of generals. Although I promised the person to keep these messages secret for the time being, but over the next 2015 years I saw Xi's policy toward Taiwan was moving closer and closer to a consistent and outdated approach. And still more so than ever. I have therefore written a series of articles to refute Xi's policy on Taiwan and to warn Taiwan from time to time. Finally, I think I can't track down, so in late 2015, I published a chat with Xi Jinping about Taiwan and China, which is equivalent to exhort Mr. Xi not forget original intention. It also puts forward my views on how to understand, evaluate and position Taiwan's democratic experience, and at the same time puts forward a third alternative to reunification and independence. According to France, the relevant departments of the Central Committee of the CCP bought a batch of the books to read. Whether this is a blessing or a curse to me personally, I don't know yet. However, as a Taiwanese who has lived in China for 22 years, I think it is absolutely necessary to sum up objectively the democratic experience of Taiwan. In order to avoid the CCP making a misjudged and stupid actions that hurts others and themselves. In the book, A Chat with Xi Jinping about Taiwan and China, I speculated on the path he had taken for 20 consecutive years in office, to abolish the term of office of the national chairman and amend the constitution, to downgrade the standing committee system, and comparing it to changing the general manager system to the chairman system. This will enable him to hand over the status of General Secretary to his cronies at the 20th National Congress of the CCP in 2022, and he himself will continue to reform China based on state the national chairman and the chairman of the Military Commission and the chairman of the National Security Committee. However, the book proposes 3 key elements of 20 years of government. Without these 3 key elements, the attempt to be in power for 20 consecutive years will not succeed and will lead China to the path of fascism. These 3 requirements can be summarized as follows. 1. Opening up inter-party margin elections. 2. Initiating genuine one-person, one-vote direct elections at the county level. And 3. Signing a Taiwan permanent neutralization agreement with the United States. Neutralization, rather than neutrality. The role of the first element is to give hope to the 90 million party members in order to resolve the inter-party struggle. The role of the second element is to give 1.4 billion people the expectation of democracy in the end. The role of the third element is to supplement the already overstretched Sino-US 3 communiques and remove the Taiwan variable from the Sino-US collision formula, so as to serve as a model for resolving disputes in the South China Sea and the East China Sea. These 3 elements are the necessary prerequisite of the continuous security administration for 20 years. Without the 3 elements, the rationality and legitimacy of the continuous ruling have no foothold. However, in 2018, the first year of his second term, Mr. Xi Jinping took the lead in abolishing the presidential term and incorporating it into the constitution, throwing aside 3 necessary prerequisites. This move of getting on the train without buying a ticket first not only brought him the nickname of Emperor Xi, but also aroused a fierce backlash within the party, but also stimulated the vigilance of the world toward the Chinese communists and contributed to the United States' decision to make containment of China the priority strategy. Ignoring the 3 key elements and rush to get on the train first has caused Xi Jinping's current domestic and foreign difficulties, which could be said that Xi Jinping's team has misjudged the internal and external situation as a whole. Of course, the fierce struggle within the CCP was one of the main driving factors in embarking on the road of miscarriage of justice. But it was a lack of breadth of knowledge on the part of the Xi Jinping's team that was the more important factor. Originally, Xi Jinping was supposed to have been in power for 20 consecutive years. The image in his mind should be either Putin of Russia or Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore. But he himself and the small circles around him may not have a good understanding of history outside China. He soon fell into the China dream of China's traditional empire, so that he could not see why Putin was able to do so for 20 years. The premise is Putin had abandoned the community of the former Soviet Union to the original concept of absolute sovereignty. And Lee Kuan Yew had been in power for more than 40 years as based on a good operation and management mechanism of one person, one vote. If Xi Jinping and his team still want to continue to lead China after the 20th National Congress in 2022, the only way to achieve this is to revise their concept of absolute sovereignty over the South China Sea and the East China Sea. At the very least, he should show some sincerity in sharing sovereignty, and at the same time demonstrate inter-party democracy at home and concrete acts of allowing some people to enjoy first the one person, one vote. Beyond that, there is no basis for legitimacy for the continuation of leadership. Now that the internal and external situation has reached such a stage, even if Xi Jinping's team is willing, it may not be in time, let alone unintentional. If they want to remedy this, they have to hurry up. Time is not on Xi Jinping's side.